everybody, Aaron J. Anderson here, talking about a little bit of an experience I had. It was 2012, so it was like 5 years ago. I was invited on the set of a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie called Welcome to the Jungle, and I've had this footage. I've had photos of me, and I took some footage of some of the action sequences and all that, and I've had this sitting around for 5 years. I really didn't know what to do with the footage. And whatever, so I decided I'm going to put it in a video about budget filmmaking, because a lot of people have, where do I start? Over the years, when I first started, as you might be first starting doing filming, and the first thing you do is you want to find like a camera to get, right? So you buy the camera, and then you start searching on the internet of what other pieces of equipment you might need or accessories you might need. And you might end up coming up to, you can see this photo right here. You know, you're gonna see that and think it's really cool. And you're gonna think like, oh man, I need to save up money to get that. And I've been there and done that. I really have. When you're just starting out, I hate to see people tell me, when I'm talking to them, they're like, I say, hey, you're a filmmaker. Yeah, I want to do a short film. And a lot of times they'll say, yeah, but I'm saving up for a better camera, or I'm waiting to save up for a camera rig. And since I've been there and done that, I always tell them, you don't need all that equipment to start filming. I mean, naturally, you just don't need it. There's a few basic equipment that you would need, and of course that would be a camera. You got to get a camera, and it really doesn't matter what camera it is. I had some people say they don't want to start filming till they get a red camera or a Blackmagic Cinema camera. I don't know. I mean, they're going to be sitting around saving all this money, waiting to get the camera. Just buy an inexpensive camera and start filming. And most of those people already have great cameras. I mean, they've got like a 5D Mark whatever, or a GH2 or GH3 or whatever. Just start filming. You don't need an expensive camera. A lot of those people, when I ask, why are you saving up for that red camera? And a lot of times they would say, because I want my movie to look professional. But they got it all wrong. The camera is not going to make your production professional. I actually, here in Puerto Rico, did several seminars on how to make a low-budget film look like a big-budget film. And you really got to know technique. It's not about the equipment, although you do need a certain amount of equipment to get something done, of course, but you don't need all the expensive equipment like this thing right here. You do not need that. When I first started out, I had a rig that almost looked like that. I got that from the internet. I didn't have any photos of mine, or I couldn't find them. And you can see all this other equipment up here. See, when companies are trying to sell you this stuff, a lot of this stuff is actually made for like a crew. You've got a camera operator, and then you've got a camera assistant. So you, as a camera operator, will be operating the camera, and you might have an assistant changing out all the batteries and lenses and follow focuses and all that stuff. And when you're first starting out, it just gets in the way. Trust me. I mean, when I first started, I had something like that. And when I was, I did stuff for Univision, which is a really big Spanish TV company station. I did an international TV show called Teen Pet Vet. It was a 3-minute little segment between cartoons, internationally, Spanish speaking, even though they did it in English, they showed it on Spanish TV. And during that show, it was like a reality show in a veterinarian reality. I had one of those rigs, and it kept getting in the way. I mean, I started taking pieces off and breaking it down, and sure enough, I broke it all the way down to where I was just having a camera with a cheese plate on top, with a shotgun mic, an LED light for when I needed it for certain close-up shots and stuff like that, and a monopod type thing to my belt. I did a video on how I use monopods and stuff, and I broke that whole thing down with this side. I broke that whole thing down into that. I mean, I didn't need the monitor, didn't need the extra batteries and the cables, because it was a low budget show and I'm filming it by myself. I had a director there, of course, helping things move along, but as far as equipment, it's all me. So, don't save up for one of those. Most of the time, you're not going to need it. Another thing, after going through all this myself, I started doing seminars on how to film a low budget but make it look big budget, and very minimal equipment. And over the years, I found out you just don't need all that stuff. And having something like this, I still had all that stuff, even though I broke it down to something very simple. Then I was asking these martial arts guys who do fighting scenes in movies. I used them in my short film Clandestine, and when I wrote the script and the storyboard for the fight scene, they actually did all the choreography, and they have their own camera guy. And before we went out and did Clandestine, I don't even think can't remember if we knew we were going to film that because it was only a 3-month project. Can't remember, but we went out. We seen what they could do and we're talking about it. They had their own camera guy, and I was going to use my camera, and I had the big juicy rig, and they were all impressed with it. Ooh, wow, look at all that stuff. It's, oh my gosh, expensive and whatever. And then we did some of the sequences. Then when it came up to the fight scene, their camera guy said, okay, I'll take the camera from here and do the fight scene, because there's no reason for me to try to learn how to film a fight scene when they can do it like really good. And so when I gave it to him, he said, oh, can you take the camera off of the rig? And I said, oh, you don't want to use this? He goes, no, because it's too big, it gets in the way. And so my thoughts exactly over the years. I think I had it because sometimes you kind of want to impress people with big stuff. Like, ooh, look, I know what I'm doing. And I think I might have done that at that last time, even though I've already learned not to do that. I said, these guys, I want to let them know that they're going to work with someone professional. But he ended up saying, hey, I just want the camera. So we put all that fancy rig away, and he just used the camera, not this camera. I forget what camera it was at the time. And it just concluded in my brain that, yeah, it's just all this extra stuff is most of the time not needed. Not to say it's not needed, because some of the tools are helpful, but if you're a low budget guy and it's just you or just a handful of people, this stuff really gets in the way. You got to lug it around and charge batteries and cables, and you've got all the... For me, it just didn't work. I can take the same scene with that rig right there, and as long as the camera's the same, it's going to look exactly the same. And I know some people are going to disagree with me on that because, oh yeah, but you got the big monitor. But with mirrorless cameras, you can like just see what you get, and it has focus peaking and all that. When we didn't have focus peaking back then, I had one of those Akudo eye cups on the back so I can get my eye in there and focus. I didn't need all the extra stuff. And if you're first starting out, don't think you have to buy that to make a good film. Just about everything you see on my YouTube channel was done with very minimal equipment. And I would say if you're going to start out, the things that I think you really do need is, of course, the camera. Lenses are very important, and I've said this many times that most of my stuff I only use two lenses. You got to go check out my short film Clandestine. I did that like almost 4 years ago now. It's only used two lenses, one camera. We used a Canova slider. I don't know if you know what those are, but they're inexpensive slider, and it's ball bearing. It moves great. I forget how much it was, but it was inexpensive. And I think that's important to have a slider just so you can have some more movement and dynamic shots. And lighting is very important. I would say save up and get two like LED type panels. Definitely get a microphone. And if your camera doesn't have a microphone input, you'll have to get like an H1 zoom recorder, a tripod, of course. There's not too much there. Now, since I did all those videos, now we've got handheld. I've got a handheld electronic gimbal stabilizer thing. You can get those now for cheap. So you don't need a lot of equipment to start filming and making awesome films. Go watch Clandestine, and you'll see very low. In fact, if you go, I could put this in the description here. This is behind the scenes of my film Clandestine, and you get a good opportunity to see that I didn't use much. Here's a little shot of some of the equipment we used. I mean, it might look like a lot there, but there's really not much there. I mean, that was it. I mean, not too much pieces of equipment. Of course, you didn't see it all, what's in the boxes and all that stuff, but go check out this short film. the behind the scenes. The cool thing about this is I would film behind the scenes like this, and then after this you get to see the actual footage. See, this is the actual footage of that scene right there. And yeah, so you can see me. See, this is a GH3. I just used 2 cameras. Now I did use this only because I had it. You don't need it. But one thing good about that is, and then here's the scene. I'll just let that play out so you guys can see it. Here I am filming that. Turn off. Whatever. And here's the Canova slider that I was just talking about. I mean, this was my main equipment for almost the whole movie. And here's some rails. Oh, again, the only reason I'm using this cage is to protect the camera because I already had it. I just didn't want to bang up my camera or whatever running around. Not needed, but if you wanted it, it's not that expensive anyways, but you just don't need it. We can just go through. I don't want to show you all this. Here I am setting up here. This is me if you haven't guessed. Okay, go. I'll do the beep when you should stop. Here's where the robot comes out, and the that's the scene before. And then this is after. But go, I don't want to sit here and watch that whole thing. Let's just get out of there. Let's get out of that. And so go watch that. I'll put the link in the description. You don't need a lot of equipment. So after doing seminars on how to make a low budget movie into a big looking budget, because if you look at Clandestine, it looks like it was a big budget. People are like, how much did you spend on that? Not including the pieces I just told you, like the slider, the tripod, the camera, the 2 lenses, LED panels. That stuff is something when you buy it, you just like, which is like the basics that you need, microphone. That stuff will go with you with every project, but the whole project itself, minus those, it was like $650 or $700 to make the whole film, and I did lots of props in that, and you have to go watch it. But yeah, it doesn't take that much in equipment. I don't know how much the GH3 was at the time. What are cameras now? Well, how about this one? Let's say you want to get a GX85 and start filming on that. You can buy that used for about $600. You could buy the 20mm, the Panasonic 20mm 1.7 for $300 new. You can get that 250-ish bucks, I guess, used. That lens, you could do a lot with that lens. And then a tripod, I don't know how much tripods are, $150 to $200. The Canova slider, I think, was $350. LED panels, they go through so much different brands out there and prices. So there is, of course, an initial cost. But once you get that initial cost, you can just use your mind and make a great film. And the whole point behind this is it's not about the equipment necessarily. It's about technique. Lighting is everything, whether you're using natural lighting or, you know, setting up lights. That's like everything to a film. I mean, if you don't got good lighting, it's not just good lighting to make your ISO lower, but it's lighting to make the scene look more dramatic. I wish I had more pieces available to show you, but we were in a restaurant scene. The lighting in there was terrible when we scouted it out, so I knew when I go there, turn off all the lights, add my own lighting, and I added lights on the floor, shining up on the walls to create depth, you know. So it's really about technique and about composition, when to move the camera, when not to move the camera. So if I were you, just learn the techniques. Get whatever camera, an inexpensive camera. I first started out on a Canon T2i. That's my first camera I got, and I did numerous music videos, paid music videos with that camera. Everybody seemed to love it. So it's not the camera. Use technique. Start learning technique right now. Don't spend all of your time just looking at all the reviews on the cameras out there. Try to do that quickly. Find out the camera's going to work for you, and then don't get into all this equipment stuff here. Just learn technique, lighting, composition, learn what a medium shot is and a close-up shot, when to use those, when not to cross the line when you're filming 2 people talking to each other. All that stuff is more important than equipment. So just wanted to point that out. Now, based on all that, you can see here that I have Welcome to the Jungle. I was on the set of Welcome to the Jungle, and I think it was in 2012. And oh, what's his name? Jean-Claude Van Damme was in it, and what's that actor's name? Adam Brody? I can't remember his name right now. He was in it, and I wanted just to, let's see how I'm going to do this.
Tomorrow, I'm sending all of you on a mandatory leadership wilderness retreat.
My name is Storm. Storm Rothschild. I will teach you teamwork, leadership. And if we're not too careful, we may have a little fun. You must have big rocks between your legs.
Jesus, get low, pilot.
I'm gonna die.
Welcome to Big Mama Nature's house.
Every Asian kid needs to learn how to play the violin, Mom! I wanted to learn how to play baseball!
Slow again. There's a war.
Oh my God, did that lunatic set explosives?
Say that again. Go.
How are we gonna get home, Storm? Our pilot's dead.
Eventually, someone's gonna have to decide which of us gets eaten first.
What?
Javier's the fattest, so he deserves to die. I'm sorry if that's not PC.
Storm, we got it.
Anyone who wants to get serious about getting off this island, you come with me. And the rest of you, you can just keep eating and drinking, just having unprotected sex all the time.
I don't think he gave the greatest pitch in the world, but I'm with him.
What are the chances of a dangerous animal in this island? 0. So just come.
Let's take you through some photos of the set of Jean-Claude Van Damme. And here they're using a red camera. And after I go through some of these photos, explain a little bit, I guess what my conclusion of all this is. You see a whole bunch of people. Now, the budget for this film was about $3.5 million, which is kind of a low budget for a Hollywood Universal Picture film. 3.5 million. When I was talking to the director, which is a good thing too. When I was on the set, I was there as a guest, so I was able to walk around freely and talk to everybody. I talked to the camera guys, the focus pullers, the gaffers, the director, the guys that were dealing with all the props and lighting guys. I was talking to everybody because I like to learn and all that stuff. And the director said they were at $3.5 million was the budget. I believe that's what it was. And he told me that they were, at this day, they were $15,000 over budget. And I already have that mindset of you don't need a lot of money to make a film. So I'm listening to him say that. I'm looking around, and it's just, it's quite amazing how much money that they spend. And when you look at all these people here, you can see that's I think his name's Adam Brody. Yeah, kind of a popular actor there. And here's some of the other, these are all the actors in the scene. Here's the audio guy. Here's, you got camera 1 here and camera 2. These people over here are camera assistant operators to these guys. Then you got your sound guy over here. And what's really, we'll see if we have other photos here. Here's a director's tent. Here's the director himself. Some of these photos I took, and some my friend took. But here's the director's monitor here. This monitor over here, you could see his little his remote focus puller, because this guy was on camera A, and he was pulling focus way off the set. Like over here to the left is that scene you just saw. And he's way back here at the director's tent with his own monitor. And they have these little these little curtains that they put over their head so there's no glare on the monitor. And he's sitting back here pulling focus, which is really cool. I don't think it was wireless. I think it was wired, but it's a remote follow focus. Anyways, that's that. Here's the director. Here's just more of the scene. You can see there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here. This right here is just so the harsh sun isn't hitting the actors, so you got even lighting. They can use this to do that. They had to switch this throughout the day. Here I am. My friend said, hey, and I look back and checking stuff out. It's the other guy, one of the prop dudes. And there's Jean-Claude Van Damme right here. Now what's really funny is, I don't know what's the next photo, but over here to the right, you've got all of these vans, so you can have the actors, what do you call those? Trailers. Actors trailers, wardrobes, prop trailers. They had a huge outside dining thing to eat lunch and breakfast and all those things, and the chef, and outside a trailer just for bathrooms. You got all this stuff, and I'll tell you all that stuff later, but you can just see so much is put in to these films, even though if you really look at the situation, here I am again talking to this guy. This guy was really nice. He was in charge of a lot of the props. And one of the props was a huge, I'm getting confused on let's see if I can move this up so I can go back and forth. One of the props was a huge lion, a stuffed lion, and that alone was like $12,000 to ship, just the shipping, I think, to ship from LA to Puerto Rico here, which this was in Puerto Rico. What's the name of that place? Manatee, Puerto Rico. $12,000 to ship this big stuffed lion. I don't know if you show the film. Okay, so here we are. Got all this stuff going on. There's Van Damme talking. How do I go back out here? Here's a scene where that Adam Brody guy is on the ground, and Jean-Claude Van Damme comes running out and kicks this guy, because I guess this guy's beating this guy up or something. And you know what's really cool? He hit my friend again, said, hey, so I look back, and here's these are the guys here. I think this pit, when Jean-Claude Van Damme kicks this guy, he's supposed to go in the pit. I can't remember. Here's the camera over here, and it might be the A-cam, I don't know. But they're using red cameras for this film. Let's see this. This is do I got the audio on? I just filmed this with my iPhone while I was there. You can see the mat here. When he gets kicked, he jumps on the mat. I'm not sure if he's supposed to fall in there or not. I can't remember. So we'll just let this play. Maybe you guys are interested and want to see it. You can see over here the A camera getting this shot. So if you've seen this movie, you're gonna recognize the shots here.
Hey, can I get a towel or something to get some blood out?
So there's that. I don't know if you guys are interested in this. I'm not doing this YouTube live, so I don't know if you guys are interested, but let's play some more. This is just with my iPhone. This guy right here is his son. That's Jean-Claude Van Damme's son, and his daughter is right back here. She's being blocked by this guy, but Jean-Claude Van Damme's son is here, and his daughter is behind this big guy here. They were also in the movie.
Oh yeah, there's a lot here in Puerto Rico, man.
And what she's doing is applying more makeup and mud. Making sure he looks good and dirty.
Yeah, it's gonna be real cool.
Now Jean-Claude Van Damme actually had his scars and stuff that you'll see in some of the photos. It was actually made with a sugar base, and so the mosquitoes were really attacking Jean-Claude Van Damme with all the sugar on him. And I don't know, this is kind of boring. Sorry, guys. There's the clip
living? Or sometimes. Nice.
So they've got a camera on Brody here, and then the other camera
Before I leave, I get you
watching
number.
Jean-Claude Van Damme come running out.
Yeah, nice.
See, they just did another clip for that camera. So, sorry if this is boring, but let's play another one. Like I said, I didn't know what to do with these clips until today. I said, hey, let me make a video. And they're just going to keep doing it until they get it right, I guess. I think I got one more video here. This is a good shot of the camera crew here. So this is after he does the kick. And let's play it. Here's his daughter right here. This girl. That's his daughter. And I think that's all I actually filmed. Here's me talking to Jean-Claude Van Damme. Now, Jean-Claude Van Damme was super, super nice. I mean, I was like really impressed how nice he was. That last take that you just saw, with him running out, he actually stopped and then came over to me. I don't know why. When I see him walking to me, I was like, does he recognize me from something? Does he think he knows me? And he actually told me, hey, let's go for a walk. Me and him went for a walk for 15 minutes. I don't know why he picked me out for that or whatever, but we're talking about all kind of stuff and movie stuff and where his career is going and all that stuff. So really nice guy. I mean, for him to just take me out for a 15-minute walk was really cool. The crew wasn't too excited because, you know, time is money, but I enjoyed it. And the cool thing is I was in martial arts most of my life, and growing up, I was really into Jean-Claude Van Damme. I could do the splits, like all that stuff. People would call me Van Damme throughout high school and stuff. It was kind of cool just because I could do splits, and I was the martial arts guy, you know. And I always loved movies. I always watched the TV show Movie Magic, where they show behind the scenes. I even wanted to become an actor at one point. My mom actually spoke to Jean-Claude Van Damme's agent. This is a long time ago when I was like 15, 16, 17, 18, around that time. So I was like really into it. And then to be on set with some guy I kind of looked up to over the ages, and then have him come and talk with me for 15 minutes was really, really cool. So really, really, really nice guy. So I really enjoyed my time with him. And here's some just more shots at nighttime. A couple more shots here. See how they're lighting this up. See what they're doing here is they're just blasting light, bouncing it into the scene, adding more light. Here's the beach scene here. That's JC here on the ground. He's going to get thrown back here on that pad. Here they're using a crane to get some of the shots. That's me and Jean-Claude Van Damme there. Another shot of us here. See you see the cuts right here. This is all made with a sugar base, so it's not good for bugs and stuff. And I think that might be it. What else do I got here? Let's go back to, here's just some more photos. More photos of the scene. I think my friend took these. I can't remember all the ones I've taken. This is where people eat at the eating tent, and more shots of the scene. You see all the light stands here. Here's all the crew over here. Not the crew, but the actors over there. And just more. You see how the sun can come out. Like here in Puerto Rico, it would get dark, rainy, and sun. We had a bunch of dogs come running through here also. And what's really cool is they chased the dogs away. I helped try to chase some of the dogs away. One of them kept coming back. And this dog, we felt really bad for because it had a stick actually stuck in its rear end. We don't know, maybe it fell or something. I don't know. So Jean-Claude Van Damme's daughter, which I found out when I was there, she seemed really concerned. They actually held the dog down, dislodged the stick, And apparently she's a dog lover, and when she goes to different movie sets from different countries, she actually adopts dogs. So she actually adopted that dog. And of course they had to go through the whole veterinarian system and have it, and she had it sent back home where they live. So it was kind of cool. You know, she helped the dog out and actually adopted the dog. So that was pretty neat. And just here, this is the director's tent. Some more here. That's the director right here. So yeah, here's Jean-Claude Van Damme's son and the daughter right here. And you know what's really funny, just to let you know, when like Jean-Claude Van Damme's not out here right now. He is actually in his trailer, relaxing or whatever. And on a lot of these shots right here, the camera angle was on these guys, and I think it was this guy right here. He was just like basically a Jean-Claude Van Damme stand-in. I know he doesn't look nothing like him, because on these shots, Van Damme wasn't even in the scene or on camera or in the shot, but he was supposed to be there type thing. And this guy just filled in, and he ran in and acted like he was going to push or punch or whatever. And like I said, it was an angle where you would never see Van Damme in the scene. So even though Van Damme is in the scene, he's actually in his trailer and having someone else work out the thing. So it's kind of funny, you know, when you kind of get a status there, and you're not in the shot or on camera, even though your character is in the shot, you really don't even have to be out there working. So it's kind of funny to see that. And here's just more stuff. Setting up. This was protecting them from some of the rain that would come in as well. More things. See, you've got the one of the red cameras here covered up because it was raining. They had to stop so many times. Here's just some still shots of the scene we already seen. Here's some of the crew here. Cameraman, assistants. Here's the, it started raining right here, so everybody had to, of course, take cover because they don't want all this makeup mud to wash off of them, so they're here. More of that. This is one of the sleds that they use. There's some more outside shots. Here's the beach shot. You see the pad here. He gets thrown back. This is the shot actually where the fake tiger comes up and jumps on him. And oh, it's beautiful Puerto Rico here. Very nice place. There's a shot of Van Damme in the bushes. Here they are landing. That's the son and the daughter. And I think that's about it. So that, oops. So that's it, guys. Moral of the story is you don't need a lot of equipment. You can do things on a budget. This isn't like, I don't know where this is going. I had this footage, thought I'd share it with you. And, oh, by the way, I said it was $3.5 million. They were like $12,000, $15,000 over. And when you look at that, with all these people, so many people around, you could literally film that same sequence with probably just about 5 to 10 people. I mean, really, there's not a whole lot going on, but in Hollywood, they've got the budget, so they bring all the help they can. I mean, you've got people, there were like probably 4 people there just there saying, you know, quiet on the set. You know, it's kind of funny. So you can see how budgets can get really out of hand, in my opinion, especially being there seeing it. And like I said, you could, if you wanted those same 2 red cameras and 2 camera operators and a director and 5 people helping, I mean, you could do that whole scene, and so cheap. So it's kind of funny how they just really over budget themselves and all that stuff. But anyways, get out there and start filming, guys, with whatever camera you have. Don't worry about getting, I always point to the wrong way because it's backwards. Don't worry about getting this big rig right here. It's probably going to get in your way if you're filming by yourself. You're going to be concentrating on juggling all this crap around and then getting it all set up. And it's going to be, just go in there with the camera. I would say get a tripod or something to stabilize it, you know. But now they have stabilization in these cameras. So it's even, I could put this on a tripod in a little pocket on my belt and hold it like this and get amazing shots and don't need any camera rig anymore. So anyways, if you guys have any comments, please let me know. Hopefully this wasn't too boring. I just didn't know what to do with the footage, so I thought I'd throw it out there. If you look in the description for the clandestine behind the scenes, go watch the actual short film itself so you can see how that turned out on a low budget, $650-ish bucks to film that thing, minus the camera gear that I already have that I use for all my projects. Talk to you later, guys. See ya.